Hi, my name is Frances Fox, and I'm a trained remote viewer. I have a degree of political science from the University of Miami from, of course, many decades ago. I also started a business and ran it for 30 years successfully, even though when I left, it was really limping. But I had to leave because I wasn't in love with it. And today, I understand that tomorrow, I think it's going to be like 57 years old. It's still there. When I build something, I build it with really, really strong foundations. And part of that is because I'm a Cancer. We're water sign, female, we're worry warts. And Cancers, we go over and over and over and over things again, just in case, make sure everything's okay. Da, 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 da. Well, apparently that makes for really strong foundations, even though it can be very boring to people that are watching it. But anyway, I'm here to share extra information that's from the other dimensions. And I can say to you that I'm really happy today because every day there is several pieces of news that I have been talking about before anybody knew it was an issue, and where I have information that you could say is inside information. It's really extra information from the other dimensions. So let's start with the Biden diagnosis of his cancer, which is prostrate. I don't want to burst out laughing because that's not right. I don't hate the man at all. I think he was a puppet. Why am I laughing? Because what you don't know is that his diagnosis is incredibly revealing, as it is for all of you, but you just don't know it yet. Prostrate is a male gland. Cancer is, here, stick with me. It's 2 seconds, and then we're going on to something else. Cancer is an accumulation of rage, I mean, incredible rage, plus impotence. Something is making you so angry, and there's nothing you can do. So if you get cancer in an organ related to sexuality, ovaries, uterus, prostate, breasts, there's an issue with the opposite sex. You are repressing. So then Biden has hatred and impotence having to do with some female in his life, or many females in his life. I wonder who that could be. The wife? The one who took his position and ran for president? Kamala Harris? If it was Hillary Clinton behind the decision to take him out of the race, then her, all three of them, or more. So, prostate cancer or any issue with the prostate has to do with an issue with the opposite sex. There are no exceptions. Next, I wanted to recommend something, and I took the box away. Why did I do that? No, I threw it out. There are products that work on the cannabinoid receptors. What are those? When science, not in this country, I think it was Korea, did studies on the effect of cannabis, they discovered that humans have a system that receives the cannabis and then uses it wonderfully. They didn't find anything negative. They called it the cannabinoid receptors. So, cannabis is great for the cannabinoid receptors. This product, Hero Vital, it's not expensive. You have to get it. It may not be legal in the United States. It is procaine plus B6. And this incredible doctor in Romania discovered that if you inject yourself systematically with this, you can grow back a whole head of hair. There are photographs of it, but this is like from 60, 70 years ago. This is supposed to be the number one product for anti aging. It works on the cannabinoid receptors. What are the cannabinoid receptors? The cannabinoid receptors are the strings of the mind strings. Oh, you have 72,000 of them. In the gossip today about Adam Schiff and my handler, we're going to talk about the mind streams. The Pope's favorite prayer is all about releasing the mind streams, and the original Lord's Prayer in Aramaic talks about the mind streams. But we're not allowed to believe in any of that stuff. And no wonder that the scientists can't get any place with string theory, because once it's deciphered, and I already did, and I've been working with it for 30 years and I'm teaching you about it. But once you decipher that, the scientist said, there's no more questions. It all gets answered with that structure, which is strings. This works on it. It relaxes it. So does cannabis. Probably there's a couple more products. I'm not familiar with them. But read up on this. Okay. I thought it was cute. I said a story the other day, and then I thought, maybe I shouldn't be sharing this story because maybe it should be in the postgraduate class of metaphysics rather than here, which were kind of kindergarten. Okay, I shared the story about when my control died. He wanted me to help him escape the reincarnation cycle. And then when Nixon got ready to die, that was supposed to happen also. I'm not going to tell you my thoughts at that point because I wasn't really awake and aware enough. I was still totally in a state of shock. So here, just so that you can see that La Loca no está tan loca, which means the crazy lady is not so crazy. This was what was on X today. How to escape reincarnation, according to the Egyptians, who obviously know so much more than we do today. Oh dear, how did I get to wherever it is that I'm at right now? Okay, so I just wanted to put that out there so that you can understand and feel okay with yourself that you are spending any time at all listening to me. So I have some very interesting news, which is not my news, and it is Putin today. Oh my God, look, what does this say? Tartaria revealed Putin unleashes the forbidden empire. The world just changed forever. Russian President Putin has declassified explosive Tartaria, I don't know how it's pronounced, archives, unearthing a colossal empire that was systematically erased from global memory. The moment this happened, Western historians went silent for good reason. Tartaria was in the myth. It was the largest empire on earth, spanning from the Urals to Alaska, north to Tibet. Its people weren't savages. They were spiritually advanced, morally grounded, and technologically ahead of their time. They lived by virtue, honor, and ancestral power. Blue eyed, red haired, they weren't primitive tribes. Now their memory is being restored. Why am I bringing this up? I'll repeat. Its people weren't savages. They were spiritually advanced, morally grounded, and technologically ahead of their time. They lived by virtue, honor, and ancestral power. So, what are we talking about here? We're talking about something that I want to talk about more at another time, which is being it that it would appear, according to my maps, that we're going to make it through this crazy time, that we're being supported and protected. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be very difficult things happening. We can't do business as usual. We can't just take the bad guys and expose all the bad guys. First place, we have to ask, how come? We needed all of that level of deception to wake up. Well, we can't just eliminate that. We had a whole system that was a result of. If you think that in this new time, in Revelations, because this is all part of Revelations, people are going to believe anything that is not pure truth, you need to think again, and you need to know that probably, depending on your age, you're going to be okay for the next few years because you're going to have a lot of company of people that just cannot accept this. But this whole thing with all the religions that have been fed to us, it never held any water, but we didn't question. We were into obedience mode. We were into hierarchy. The people at the top, it didn't really matter what they said or what they did. They were the ones who could decide. That's not where we're going. That's what got us into trouble. So I think the whole thing with the Bible and Jesus Christ is going to be shaken, and people are going to be shaken to their core. So, what is it? Put on not your roller skates, put on your seatbelt, because it's going to get very interesting. If you are not willing to look at things with your thinking cap on, you cannot put your thinking cap away because it's religion. You can't put your thinking cap away because people in your country don't believe that. You can't put your thinking cap away because people aren't supposed to do that. We're not going to look at it. You don't do that. You're going to get left behind. For this country to be strong, we have to be willing to look at whatever it is that needs to be looked at for the truth to come out. And I keep wanting to say it, and I keep hesitating because I know people, the whole thing with Jesus, nobody respects Jesus Christ more than me, and I don't know of anybody who lives more like Jesus Christ than me. I'm not talking about being a saint. I'm talking about living the whole thing of helping other people and figuring it out and helping them. The elements, which none of you know that Jesus Christ was about the elements. The whole Jesus Christ thing, he didn't have sex, according to the Catholic Church. And now we're struggling with the whole sex thing. Yes, I know they're struggling in other countries, but you can't do not run around holding up the Bible or holding up Jesus Christ, please, until you get that settled. You're going to end up looking really foolish because people won't tolerate it anymore because their eyes have been opened. It's revelations. We're supposed to be already embracing and using our superpowers. The age of Aquarius is here. The age of Aquarius was a lot about sex. Oh, nobody's interested today. By the way, I figured out how to fix that. So whenever I'm allowed to escape from my the tarot card readers that I see online, because I don't pay anybody, I don't go to anybody, call it being in hermit mode. It's actually a tarot card. And they keep saying, oh, you probably have been in hermit mode. Yeah, I have been in hermit mode. Yes, I have been. Anyway, I think you should keep tabs on this whole thing that Putin just did. And look how interesting. It has to do with, do I say it? Do I not say it? It has to do with Russian monarchy. Do I say it? Do I not say it? It is possible that my family, that I am related to Russian monarchy. It's possible. I'm supposedly related to Madame Blavatsky, who started the religion or the movement of theosophy. Do I know that that's a fact? How could I know that's a fact? I'm not allowed to know anything about me. Everybody else knows. Now, I do know that Russia is decades ahead of us in terms of metaphysics because they never lost it and they always respected it. That's the other dimensions. Where do you think those aliens are coming from? They see the spaceship and all of a sudden it disappears. It went to the other dimensions. And now, how did they make themselves be visible on this one? I'm not sure. I don't know everything. But all the disinformation that was done about Russia, it's not that I'm in favor of Russia or not in favor of Russia. I'm in favor of what it is that's true. And then let's deal with it. But you all need to know. Nothing's going to, if it's not the truth, it's not going to hold water. And until now, people got away with murder. It's interesting. And everything is changing so quickly. I understand. I remember one day I went to I think it was a Sunday dinner with my family. Now, since I separated from my husband, who was very traditionalist, whatever, I was, of course, a flake. And, I left the bridal salon, very successful, and I went to do this. I wasn't viewed very well. My self-esteem took an incredible nosedive. But I remember showing up this family dinner and everybody's talking about the stuff they were interested in, which was none of the stuff that I was interested in. And I said, did you know that they discovered that there is an island of plastic the size of Texas floating? I thought my family was going to kill me. That's not true. That's not accurate. Why would you say that? I said, well, why would I say that? I just read it. There's pictures of it. It does not, and it's from reputable. I had to back down. I almost left. They were so angry at how stupid I was that I could believe that. Well, it was in the news within several months. They all saw it. Nobody got back to me to say, you know what, we're sorry. It's just hard to believe. They got angry at me. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to have a full conversation with anybody in my family, maybe the younger kids, the grandkids, because they're going to be angry at me. I didn't do this. I didn't do revelations. But that's what society's going to be like. There's going to be people that are not going to want to see it. And I'm not saying my family's not going to want to see it now. I'm just giving an example of something that was so shocking to them. It couldn't be true. Therefore, I had to be the problem. And I was, of course, always a scapegoat. I was the problem. Next. I want to remind you that 2 days ago, on the 16th, I put on the map of the United States that there would be revelations about how life started on the planet. And I think this that Putin just did is just one example of us finding out things that we're not going to be able to negate and that are going to shake us to our core. I said that 2 days ago. That means that that's a wave of energy that I was able to pick up, that I captured when I did the map. And the next words after that, because I went back to the map because I remembered, I said that was, this will simplify issues. Maybe we're going to finally, you guys are going to find out that we did not come from here. So the whole alien issue takes a different angle. So the ones that are coming in, are they from where I came from? It's going to get very interesting. Okay, so now we come to the interesting part, and I'm going to try not to go on and on. First place, there's somebody in Minnesota. I think her last name is kind of like kombucha, who would really want me dead. She spent a whole Sunday trying to figure out how to handle whatever it is that I sketched the other day. So, why am I bringing this out? This is Adam Schiff. This was the 15th. This is Adam Schiff, and I was showing you how depressed he was. Those are his mind strings, string theory. They don't know that this was about. Why? Because we have one big string that's in the center axis, which, by the way, is the Holy Grail. It's a double terminated funnel. What does that remind you of? About black holes. Correct. That's string theory. Do they know that? No. Are they going to know it from me? No, because who am I to talk to them? I've been working with it for 30 years, never presented it to somebody who's professional scientist, and for them to say, that doesn't make any sense. Everybody goes, oh, that makes sense. Okay, never mind. So I sketched this, and then I showed you how he has like his arm grabbing this person. We don't need to say who it is. And then he has three other people in Congress. There's his mind strings interpenetrate. And he was able to make that happen through food. Well, these people were invited to a meal, and I don't remember the rest of what it is that I said, but it had to do with a meal that they went to, and that's where they got compromised. And here is where I keep saying to Trump, this thing with the whole mind control, if these people got poisoned and are controlled by somebody who is beyond sick, putting them in prison might not be the answer. Leaving them loose is not the answer either. I don't know what the answer is. What I'm saying is it's a really, actually, supposedly one of the reasons why the planet is going to kind of end, which I think, I don't know if you know that, is because of mind control. The first law on this planet is free will. And what does mind control do? Totally eliminates it. You have the right to be good, to be bad, and then become good, to become bad. You have the right to kill. You have the right to do whatever you want to do on this planet. When you do black magic and when you do mind control, which is black magic multiplied, very sophisticated with electronics and everything, you take away people's free will. So putting people in jail, I'm not saying you shouldn't put them in jail. I'm not saying you should put them in jail. What I'm saying is this is one heck of an issue that cannot be ignored because of the volume of people that have been mind controlled and also the positions many of them have held in society. But I'm not just going back here to go back over old ground. This is in the metaphysical gossip section of this podcast. Here we go. Interesting things. And my nose. What's going on with Schiff? Don't know. But he doesn't seem to be in my energy field or around me, letting it go. He'll be picked up any day, which won't make that much of a difference because the part of him that bothers me is his astral spirit body. When you say, may the force be with you, that force, your astral spirit is your force. That's the one that's concerning. But I haven't seen him. But my handler showed up, I think, Saturday. His astral spirit body. And has been laying in my bed since Saturday. Not moving. So I made sure that I put on my mantrista music that would be adding the earth element, because if you're a spirit, you can't tolerate the earth element. And last night I did a chat with the mantrista movement. We were 200, 300 people. And I said, this man's spirit is on my bed. I need, as usual, I have to ask the question, why would I continue to need it? Obviously, I'm not sleeping in my bed, but you don't need to tell me that. I said, so I have to ask the question, why would I need this problem? Because you don't have a problem unless you need it. That's just a law on the planet. And so I said, okay, why would I need this? There's got to still be something I have to learn from this man. And I need to learn this whole thing, the thing that Schiff was trying to do to me and the thing that and by the way, it's all about the strings. So last night we're working, we had to change the mantra 2 or 3 times. He is still let's pretend this is me. No, let's pretend I'm one of these people. He is still attached to me with mind strings. So we went all around the block, and by the end of the 2 hours, which we rarely do a 2-hour session, almost 300 people trying to figure out what to do. By the end, what we did was we called in. People in the other dimensions exist. They don't have a physical body, they exist. There's no time in the other dimensions. So the whole Jesus Christ energy is there now. The whole Virgin Mary energy is there. The archangels, Anubis, the Egyptian god, is there now. Now, if it was this dimension, you could say, well, but he's past. I mean, you can call in his energy. No. He's there. So by the end of the 2 hours, we called in the Pope that just passed, his favorite virgin. He had a favorite virgin who has a prayer for undoing knots and strings. This is the virgin. And she's the Virgin Mary, undoer of knots. Those are the mind strings. Let me show you the mind strings. See the gold body with all the chakras in color, those extensions, those greens, those are the mind strings. This virgin unties the mind strings. The one who really I find most comfortable working with my job now is Saint Michael, who has a flaming sword. What is a government remote viewer doing talking about Saint Michael and Anubis and the Virgin as if you haven't read a lot of stuff about the remote viewers and what they do on their free time or what they did while they were in the government? Have you? You think it's all about spying and politics. You can spy on history too. So I've spent since last night cutting these strings. What's really interesting is this afternoon, because it's still there. This afternoon, there was a huge channel of light over my bed, and he was kind of floating up it, but there were still strings attached to me. I was standing at the door of the bedroom, and there were still strings coming from him to me. So I did my process. St. Michael came in and cut. I came upstairs 2 or 3 times. We did the same thing. There's one string that won't cut, which means there's something in me that doesn't want to finish letting go of this man. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to find it. Anyway, fascinating. There is a channel of light ready there. We can call it a portal, but it was literally a channel of light. And he's floating up it, but he's still connected to something that is not allowing him to leave. You know how they talk about people in the hospital and how so many of them don't die until right after that son or that daughter or that person they were waiting to say goodbye to comes. They have to wait 2 or 3 days, whatever, and then immediately after they see this person, gone. The statistics about all the people that are dying, and they don't die on the weekends, they die on Mondays. So it's a process. It's not a whole mystery. So I've got this big channel of light in my bed. I got this man halfway up it, and I still have one string attached to me. And when I get that figured out and I let that go emotionally, mentally, he's gone. But what is gone is one of his spirit bodies, because he knows how to multiply himself. I know how to multiply myself. You can learn to multiply yourself. You're not going to do it right now. Okay, fine. I don't know where his physical body is. It could be in jail. It could be in a hospital. It could still be underneath a house hiding because they are looking for him. I don't know where it is, but he'll be gone from me. It'll be over for me. But it's interesting, the whole string thing. Somebody in Minnesota is concerned about this sketch. Apparently, a lot of people in Congress saw this. Somebody saw it and they told the other people, and they're concerned what it is I'm going to find. I'm not going to find anything because I'm not going to look, because I am not here to reveal the bad guys, because I have a very wide lens and I understand that everybody is good people. Now, why did I do this? Maybe I shouldn't. No, I'm not going to say maybe I shouldn't, because maybe this helped to get you hooked onto the whole string theory, which is basically the only person you're going to be able to hook onto is me, because I'm the only one who got it all figured out. Or maybe a lot of other people did and they're hiding it. I don't think so, because they would want to stand up and say, hello, I'll take the prize. So these are mind strings that control people. I don't know how to do that. Okay. But this guy's an expert. Schiff is an expert. My handler, an expert. By the way, my handler was an expert also in Egyptian magic, which made it very interesting. The whole thing with the strings. The Pope, favorite virgin. The virgin that deals with the strings. There's a whole cult in Latin America about because that prayer, if you are into black magic, if you think you have black magic, That's a prayer you need to do because it's all about cutting stuff, cutting and cutting and cutting. I'm not sure that they use the word cut or unknot. Honestly, it's a cutting. But I have a note here and says, who's sleeping with who? I was remembering my best friend in college was Christina from the very famous Christina show. Um, she's really, really, really good. She's really honorable, truthful, and if she wasn't famous, she would have been trashed by everybody. The problem is that everybody loved her. But she did reveal, I mean, once her shows, and she was a number one show for a couple of decades. But once her shows came out, I'm sure that it was a lot harder to be a sexual abuser. She would, and why am I saying this? Because I remember, because I was embarrassed. I wasn't aware because I wasn't watching her show. I was into survival mode in the 90s. And I kept insisting that she do a show on the fact that throughout history, we know that spirits have sex with people when they're sleeping. That's the whole thing of who's sleeping with who. And she finally got back to me. She didn't know somebody from her staff and said, we've already done that several times, but we'll do it again for you. I was embarrassed, insisting because this was such a big deal. So you need to know this whole thing about sex. Why are the spirits so determined to have sex with your sleeping body or your kids? I remember I was on a trip. Actually, it was a trip for her show. And we were two females and or three females and the camera guy who was driving, and we were talking about this whole thing with sex, and usually men will not admit to the fact that it's happened to them, but he did. And we didn't question. Everybody was just like very quiet when he said the words that he said, because for men it's a lot more embarrassing than for women, but brings us all the way back down to the whole sex thing and to the whole control of knowledge, control of information. Everybody needs to know this, and then everybody needs to know the protocol. The first thing is you try to get up, but here's the problem. Those spirits know how to put you in a hypnagogic state, which means you can see what's going on, kind of, but you can't move. I can tell you that if you have a dog, chances are your dog would have let you know before by simply standing still and just staring at empty space because the space is not so empty. Anyway, I'm going to let it go now. So, this whole thing with the strings and the mind control and shift and my handler and the Pope with his favorite prayer, you can find it easily on the internet. Uh, Mary, Mary Undoer of Knots. I have to look up whether that's the name. That's the correct name. I have to look up whether she also calls about cutting them. In the Lord's Prayer, the original one in Aramaic, it talks about releasing the knots that we hold. It talks about the strings, but that's not the version we got. Like what Putin is saying, that's the history. What we got was a revised version. And why was it revised? Who did it put in control? I have no idea. I just know that when I saw that this morning, I laughed for about half an hour. I still don't know the people who thought I was dumb as a rock, or why was I so weird spending all that time on all this stuff? I still don't know if they are going to be able to look at me favorably, or if I'm going to be triggering them so much with all this stuff that it's just not going to be worth dealing with me. I do know that I cannot do what I've had to do for decades, which is to come, okay, okay, okay. I never said, no, you're probably right, I'm wrong. I never did that. But I need to find my people. I need to find my tribe. And my tribe, uh, it'll be very helpful. And being able to actually speak will be very helpful. Anyway, thank you for listening. Let's go ahead and do. I'm thinking. Mm. Mm. Veronica is asking if I have contact with him in another timeline. I'm not sure who you're talking about, but if you're talking about my handler who's hanging in this tube of light in my bedroom, yeah, contact with him. I don't really, there's not much to say here. This is a process. Okay. So I'm trying to figure out what's better for you. We're overwhelmed. Let's do even though I'm tired and confused. Let's do that one. See, now I feel a little bit sorry for you guys. What does that mean? That means I'm a Cancer. Okay, here we go. So the mantras are repeated in silence. You expel the breath through your mouth. And I'm going to do the music that has the Schumann resonance, because your heart energy center, your physical heart, needs to be okay because of the invasions from those aliens you don't even believe in, because of the stuff that they're doing. So the Schumann resonance, listening to it 10 hours a day will help. I'm going to put a video on now for those of you that have a few extra minutes. Um, and I know we have a lot of new followers, so I'm going to put this video on and then I'm just going to click off. So if you don't want to watch it, fine. And if you want to watch it, fine. Let me put it on. It's about the battle between good and evil on planet Earth. You guys have to get that figured out quick. We end up identifying as enemies people that are not our enemy. So.
We are ending a cycle on planet Earth, and it is time that you understand your relationship to good and evil in the history of the planet. I have a story to tell you. It may help to explain a lot of things in your life, but also help to give perspective on the history of the planet. It may change the way you view the transformation planet Earth is going through now. I had a session years ago with a client who was a really nice man, but with considerable darkness in his life. I asked how I could help him, and he said he did not know. The time with me was not his idea. I said I would look at his planetary history to find the most important information that would help him to understand himself. I went back to his life in Lemuria, the civilization before Atlantis. An angel appeared to him saying, "We need your help." He responded in that lifetime, "I'm willing to help. What do you need?" They said what they needed was difficult, and he responded that he was willing. They said a darkness had come over the planet, and most souls were too weak to handle the darkness. He repeated he would help. What did the angels need from him? They said they needed him to take on the darkness, as many souls were too weak. He responded, "I will do it." They told him it would be hard because he would not remember, and he might get lost in the darkness. He said he would do it for the others. Widen your lens, and it might help you to understand the violence and conflict today on planet Earth. Perhaps the most important aspect of your life in relations to others is not that you are Jewish or Christian or American or French or Iranian. Perhaps the most important aspect of you is that you are from planet Earth, and there are others out there that are different and have different intentions from those who are from here. Perhaps now we really need to understand what is going on. We are in a final battle between light and dark on planet Earth. We need to widen our lens to know who we are and who our true enemies are. We are multi-dimensional beings. We have parts of ourselves in several dimensions at a time. We are energetically structured like the tree of life, which is the backbone of our multi-dimensional system. Our individual sacred tree of life is our chakra system. Its central axis is the trunk of the tree of your life. It is your holy grail, with its funnel-like structure at the top, drawing in off-planet energies, and a funnel-like shape at the bottom, drawing in earth energies. Unfortunately, the top of your tree of life will be filled with the energy of Xibalba, what the Mayans call the path to the underworld, and scientists call the dark rift, because of the alignments of the planets, which complete on December 21st, 2012. Unfortunately, the bottom of your tree of life, your holy grail, is already susceptible to the energies from Xibalba due to Earth's broken Brahmavara. Who is going to take on the darkness from the broken Brahmavara in the Gulf of Mexico? Who is going to take on the darkness that will enter the planet via the supermassive black hole that is aligning with planet Earth? Who will go to war to process the violence and conflict that is pouring onto the planet now? Who will kill and maim and be killed and injured to protect those of us who are not strong enough to process those energies? If it is true that Jerusalem is to be the site of the final battle between light and dark, good and evil, then the peoples who spiritually chose to carry the dark energy poured onto the planet are sacrificing themselves for all of us. Jerusalem, Israelis, Palestinians, Colombians, Iranians, all willing to battle for all of us souls, sacrificing themselves by processing the energies of conflict and violence so that we can be free. As in Lemurian times, a darkness is now entering the planet, and there will be souls who will sacrifice themselves for the rest of us.
I did that video in right before 2012, and remember that everybody said the world was going to end in 2012, and it didn't. No, the Mayans never said the world was going to end. They said the world that we knew, as we knew it, was going to end, and that it was going to be so different that it required a new calendar. And you can say, yeah, well, but, and so today, is today the world that we know, that we've known? No, no, the world that we knew is gone. Yeah, but they said it in 2012. They work on cycles of 5,000 years and I believe 26,000 years. So you're talking 8 and 5 is 13 years is like nothing to them. When they say at that point it changed, that applies to today. They don't just do one reincarnation, one incarnation. So, anyway, I hope you think about that. About who our real enemies are. And if you can figure out like who your enemy is today, like in the United States, who the enemy is. All these people, that these things are so crazy that this went on and we didn't see it. Why did we need that problem? Why did it have to get that out of hand? Because we didn't see it when it was just a lot of money. It had to be an incredible amount of money for us to be able to go, oh, something's going on. That's how asleep we've been. That's why we needed the problem. So then what do you do with the people who woke you up by behaving poorly? I don't know. And that is something Trump needs to look at. I do know that when we have a problem, it's because we need it. Same as this guy that's hanging in the air right over my bed. Okay? See you tomorrow. Bye. And I will not be sketching any more people from Congress or any more politicians. I was sketching people that attack me. Okay? So, hey, don't attack me. You won't get sketched. Just a joke. I won't be doing that sketch anymore. So those people got nervous, especially Minnesota. What's going on in Minnesota? Pay attention, Trump, to Minnesota. Something's going on there. Drop it. I'm not your problem.